Okay, so I'm here in Aardvark Studio in Stubenville, Ohio, where I'm here to witness the recording of the album Late to Love by my colleague and close friend and collaborator Sam Rocha, the Sam Rocha Trio. And they're in the studio, Studio A, which is right over here, and they are in the process of actually listening to a take that they've just done. And so while they're listening to their take, I'm going to read the meditation that was written this day, May the 7th, 10 years ago to this day. And let me pull it up. I had to have my beloved wife Kelly scan and send me copies from Being and Learning because, as it turns out, I didn't have the pages, and I didn't bring the book. I couldn't fit it into my back bag. The story of Heracltus and the strangers. Oh no. Okay. So where we left off was we're still in the midst of talking about the story of Heracltus. What does it mean to dwell poetically, and why is this held out as the comportment of learning? Responding to this question places us before the question Heidegger raises when he asks, quote, "Then how can human dwelling be understood as based on the poetic?" This way of posing the question enables us to identify the poetic as the, quote, basic character of human dwelling. Heidegger borrows from the poet Hölderlin, who wrote, quote, "Poetically man dwells," unquote. And Heidegger says, when Hölderlin speaks of dwelling, he has before his eyes the basic character of human existence. He sees poetic, moreover, by way of its relation to this dwelling, thus understood essentially, unquote. Thus, we immediately identify the manner of our understanding to be ontological. The answer to the question, how can human dwelling be understood as poetic, is ontologically. The poetic is the basic character of human existence, is the primary claim of this work. It has been embedded in the exploration we have been making of the relation between learning and being, which we initially identified as unfolding through teaching, identified at the onset as a poetic performance. This performance, we said, communicates teachability by delivering the message of possibility, the not yet. The means of delivering this message we have called evocative speaking. To repeat what we said in the opening moments of this work, when we respond or heed this message, we have become teachable. What we have discovered is that to become teachable is to become part of a joint creative effort. And this effort is organized by one who does not implant but rather cultivates what is always already at the core of human existence: natality, initiative, creativity, freedom, the poetic. We have called the one who cultivates the most central character of human existence the sage. And here we now take up even more fully what is meant when we say the lover of learning is the animated teacher, the mythopoetic speaker, and the intensely attentive listener. Further, why teaching, which enlists the turning towards being, attentiveness, attunement, is named poetic. Here we arrive at a crucial moment in our attempt to delve into the meaning of this name and try to understand precisely why mythopoetic speaker is the proper name of the communicative performance that enlists learning. If we embrace the poet's claim that the basic character of human existence is poetic, then we are compelled to gather the meaning of the poetic and thereby grasp the work of the mythopoesis that captures the poetic dwelling of the sage. We have said that the work of the sage is one of cultivation. The two primary denotations of cultivation capture the two-sided quality of the poetic as both a causing dwelling to dwell and what really lets to dwell. In the first sense, cultivation is a kind of preparation, a making ready through sowing and tilling. To till is both to prepare and direct, and this takes us to the second meaning of the cultivation as refining or completing. But what is refined here is further denoted as an attitude or a manner, specifically as the basis of relating to others. The example used is the cultivation of friendship. So we see the basic character of human dwelling as cultivation maintains the two-sidedness of the twofold play of truth. It is both a sheltering and preserving, but also a formation and a bearing, a particular kind of standing out, and a directing, pointing. The two-sidedness of cultivation, sowing, tilling, and reaping, harvesting, identify the twofold quality of the poetic dwelling. Poetic creation, which lets us dwell, is a kind of building, unquote from Heidegger. The sage's dwelling, as depicted in the Heracltus story, captures this dual quality. His dwelling unfolds within the shelter of the hearth, in close proximity of the fire, and within this location he allows learning to happen, which amounts to the meeting of the immortal and mortal. But his dwelling is also an act of creation, issued through his incantation, his invocation, his evocative invitation. The sage's dwelling is thus a cultivation of learning, insofar as in his waiting he preserves the space, in his greeting he mediates the appearance of freedom, and releases his visitors into the modality of learning. The poetic as poesis is a making as both a creative act of making something and a preservational act of making available. This is the double demand of the poetic dwelling. This double demand, however, is properly expressed in the double sense of building as both a place or abode and as a making or constructing. When we identify the dual meaning of building, this only sheds light on the dual sense of dwelling, which can also mean place, to be, and making of a place. Thus, to fully grasp the claim that poetic dwelling is the basic character of human existence, we must unpack the relation between dwelling and building and explore how the ontological character of human existence is offered in the, quote, telling of language, unquote, from Heidegger. And that's where it ends. The meditation from this day, written the 7th of May, and 2004, and read here 10 years later in Aardvark Studios in Stubenville, Ohio, less than a quarter mile away from the Ohio River, about 20 minutes west of Pittsburgh, and crossing through West Virginia. So a very interesting place. This now is the 6th or 7th state where I've done these meditations. So starting with my hometown of Maine, New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, Illinois, Ohio. It's been very interesting so far, this journey. But I do want to go back and just reread. I think the key moment in this meditation that I'll sort of highlight also in the commentary is the coincidence, because this album that Sam is recording, that you can hear in the background, is inspired by St. Augustine. And St. Augustine is the one who inspired Arendt and her concept of natality, which is at the heart of this project. So go back and read here where it says, what we've discovered is that to become teachable is to become part of a joint creative effort like this. That's what I'm doing here. And this effort is organized by one who does not implant, but rather cultivates what is already at the core of human existence: natality, initiative, creativity, freedom, the poetic. Now, I don't know that in terms of talking about the sage, I mean, I've said that there's this person or persona that is the sage, but more importantly, that the sage is a dwelling. So this studio is like the dwelling of the sage. So it's not a person, but it's a place and it's a location. And this is where this learning is happening, insofar as it's the taking initiative, it's the taking of our freedom, and it's the doing something with it. So I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah.